Greetings from CYBERTRON. This is SoundJack here with a review of the Transformers Power of the Primes, Throne of the Primes. So, this is the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that everyone probably wants to get their hands on, as most notably, along with a very nice redeco of Optimal Optimus, a Scepter of the Sparks, a nice throne for Optimal to sit on, and the halo of Primus sitting behind him. He also comes with the remaining 3 Prime Masters that had not been released up to this point, with 8 of them being released in regular retail in the Prime Master size class, the last one, the 9th one, being released with Predaking, and the remaining 3 Primes that were promised being in this set, but as well the set includes a 13th Prime, who's just known as the 13th Prime. This, if you aren't able to get this is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that was available at Hasbro Toy Shop, but this exact same thing will be released at Japanese retail in January, I want to say. So if you are interested in this and you can't get it, that is availability. Be aware that if you like what you see in this review, you still have a chance to get it, even if you missed it on the Hasbro Toy Shop already. But speaking of the review, very quickly, I do want to mention, yes, I got a new light box. There will be a video talking more about that soon. But just want to make sure you were aware in case you noticed something different. But let's get into the review and start by looking at the box, which is huge, by the way. Like, here's my hand. Here's my hand compared to this box. And I'll have size comparisons for you in a moment, but let's go over the box. As you can see, this huge box has Primal sitting very comfortably in his throne, holding the scepter with one of the primes, with the 13th in his hand. The halo of Primus containing the other 3. You can only see 2, but the third one is in there. And I'll know this from what it says on the side. But before we get to the side, you also have the Generations logo, Transformers logo with a nice vine going across the logo, Power of the Primes, Throne of the Primes, Hasbro, Ages and up as standard. And getting to the side, to get to what I'm talking about, as you can see, there's the wheel, which is representative of the Halo of Primus. Those are the 2 you're able to see. That one is Onyx, and that one is Amalgamous, who we don't have. And then that one is Prima, so he's just hidden somewhere inside the back of the wheel. So he is there, but even though we can't see him. As you can see, Halo of Primus, Power of the Primes, choose your primes, as well as a brief description and the powers or descriptors for the remaining Prime Masters that are not in this set. We can also go to the back of the box. You can see Optimal Optimus, the Scepter of Sparks, and some very, very nice artwork on the back there. There's a little bit of text and stuff at the bottom. I love it says fantasy scene. I love when boxes say fantasy scene, like no doy. But you know, just because. Quickly checking the bottom of the box and having to turn it over. You got a huge Maximal logo at the bottom, which is very nice. And then coming to the last side of the box, it just says Power of the Primes with some vines and scratch marks and the logos of the remaining 12 primes. Top of the box, you can see inside the box some more scratch marks there and another nice Maximal logo. And like I said, quick size comparison of the box. So here it is with Titans Return, Legends Class Bumblebee, Deluxe Class Chrome Dome, Voyager Class Megatron, Leader Class 6-Shot, and Power of the Primes Abominus. Just because I need to show you, this box is bigger than the Combiner. This is huge. This is crazy. But that's all for the size comparisons. And now let's actually get them out of the box and take a look at what's inside. And before we get into Primal Prime himself, let's look at everything else that comes in the box, as in terms of the extra bits besides the figures themselves. So we'll start off with the collector card. And as you should know by now, the collector card comes with every standard release Power of the Primes figure. And normally there can be one of 12 cards. However, Optimal Optimus will always have the same card with a Maximal symbol, which is different from everyone else. Probably the regular retail Optimal Optimus has a Maximal symbol, but I don't know. I don't have that figure yet. This says Optimal Optimus, but as you can see, that is a unique symbol. This is a unique card entirely to Optimal Optimus, as his as that symbol is representative of the 13th prime, and this is the only 13th card in the entire series. And on the back is Optimal Optimus and a full-length bio. Sorry for the falling too far out of the light. A full-length bio that you can read right there. I say full-length because normally it's just one line of dialogue that is in 4 different languages, but it's all in one language here. And you can read that. And that's the card. We also have the instruction book, which I purely bring up because that nice stock photography right there, thrown at the primes, as well as the basically like guide to the primes on the back with the different symbols for each of the primes and the different names and what they are, all listed on down the side there, which is very nice. And then the next main thing to talk about with this set before getting into the figures is the throne itself. All of this this is all cardboard, to be completely aware. Comes in 2 main sections. It comes with the backdrop, which I'll pull up right now. Working with this face is certainly different, so I have to get used to it. So you got this very nice background right here. You can see a Maximal temple, a nice jungle and stuff and sky and space going on. The cut over here is because of how it was packaged, how the box was packaged, with the window going on there. So I guess they wanted the window open there, but they didn't want to have it cut off by the card. I don't know. It's a little odd that like this isn't complete, but it's fine. It's fine. Those look very nice. Also, just a flat, plain cardboard backdrop with a lot of tape bits on it. And now for the throne itself. It's all made of cardboard, all taped together. You can, all of these cardboard tabs are taped on, including the ones on the sides that you can see hook into the backdrop there. I was very carefully removing a lot of tape to make sure I didn't break anything, but still had like room to be able to show it off in like its complete non-plastic or hold wire state. I am able to take the base off from the base off the chair from the base, but there's nothing interesting in that, so I'm just going to put this back together really quick and then talk about the whole thing. I can see very nice mechanical detailing with jungle vines growing about it. Kind of makes me, the mechanical detailings with the light up stuff makes me think very War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron stylings. You got some details indicating where the seat is, even though it's a flat thing, but like that's still neat. And Primal can definitely sit on this. I'll show this when we get to the end of the video. Like I said, jungle vines, all about nice details there. And the Maximal symbol up top right there. And then 8 faces of Overlord, Megatron, Overlord? I think it was Overlord. No, Ultra Magnus, sorry. Ultra Magnus, Megatron, Starsaber, Hound, RC, Shockwave, Thunderwing, and Death Source, which if you're wondering why those 8 were there, those were the other 8 options when the fan vote happened last year to vote who out of them, including Primal, would get a leader class toy in Power of the Primes. Optimus Primal won, so the faces of the losers are now etched into the sides of the chair, which is certainly interesting, but neat. Very neat. Again, just more mechanical detailing and vines. The back, you can see some claw marks and a shaded Maximal logo, which you would think you'd be able to see the entirety of if you remove this thing in the back, which is the halo of Primus, which is able to hold all 12 of the primes, which I'll just show off right quick. I'm not going to put all 12 primes in there. That's crazy. But I can certainly show you. I'll just stick. This is Amalgamous Prime in his slot right there. Actually, I think that's upside down. I think I've put him in upside down. Yeah, I have put him in upside down. yeah, it just slots in right there. You can do that for all 12 of them. There is definitely a ratcheted mechanism in the back that allows you to go through all 12 and insert all 12 primes, in there. Again, you can't take it off, so you have to go through and rotate them all the way around to see them all. But you can see their symbols in the background, so you know where they're supposed to go in terms of everything. And that is all for the paperwork and the cardboard work. So let's get on to the figures themselves. And now let's talk about the figures in the box. Let's start with the Prime Masters very quickly. So 4 of them are included in the box. We have Prima, Nexus Prime. I think I said it was Onyx Prime before, but that's Nexus Prime, Amalgamous Prime, and the 13th Prime, who is just ambiguously the 13th and is representative of the matrix of leadership. But there's no other definitive who is he besides that. But taking a quick close look at them, actually all of them besides the 13th are based on a pre-existing mold of Prime Master, with Prima taking Solus Prime, and I'll show the others off as I get to them. But that's Prima's back, that's Prima's front. You can see they got the same exact details, just Prima in a gray and grayish blue colors going on there. Articulation for them should all be the same. Head rotates, arm moves out, legs bend forward, back, knees bend back, forward, transform in half. There's Prima in Prima. That looks very nice though with the silver paint on the front and the blue. Looks like a nice warrior chest going on there. That is Prima. And then Nexus is here. Nexus utilizes the Alchemist design, as you can see, again, same colors, except he's got gray and a brownish color going on. The paint on his head is a bit shinier than the paint on his chest. You can see the logo. Whoops, I was holding that up a little high. Hopefully I wasn't holding up too high for Prima. Transformation, again, 360-degree rotation at the head. Arm moves out. Can't get it. I just cut my nails and I can't get his arm. Moves out that far. Legs bend forward, back, knees bend back, forward, transforms by collapsing in half, and there is Nexus Prime in his spark mode. This new surface is a little harder to make them stand up, so if they fall over, well, we just need to move on. Then we have Amalgamous Prime, who, that's the wrong one. This is the Micronus design. Actually, they very similar shades of the gray, though he is replaced with a sickly yellow color on Amalgamous. And there's his symbol compared to Micronus's. Articulation again. Head rotates 360 degrees. Arm bends out that far. Legs move forward, back. Knees move back, forward. Collapse in half, transform. And there you have Amalgamous in his spark mode. And then the last one, the 13th Prime, is the only unique design with his colors and design features based on the representation of Prima from the Marvel Comics, who was the first to be created, and the first to bear the Matrix, which is very interesting since Prima, the actual Prima, is right there. So that makes the question of who this is supposed to actually be. But anyway, you got some very nice yellows on the arms, silver on the legs, and painted on the hands as well as the face, and blue for pretty much everything else. And there's his logo on the back, looking like the matrix of leadership with that nice chest detail there. Again, articulation, same, 360-degree rotation of the head. Arm only bends out that far, that's the main difference. Legs bend forward, back, knees bend back, forward, a little tight on his knees, I must say, and collapse in half to transform into spark mode. And that's all of the Prime. And like I said, this new station, it makes it a little hard for them to stand up, but I'm almost done with Prime Masters and Time Masters, so that's not going to be too much of a worry for this review setup. But now on to actual Optimal Optimus. This is pretty much. So I don't have the actual Optimal Optimus regular retail figure. This is not exclusive to San Diego Comic-Con, this mold. But this color scheme mostly is. While Optimal Optimus is based on his colors from the cartoon, this design utilizes the colors that Optimus Primal wore in the season 1 of the cartoon, which is the component robot in the figure. So the component robot looks the same between regular and the regular release and the San Diego Comic-Con release, but they're pretty much. But there's some minor differences I just don't exactly know because I don't have the other figure yet in hand. But what they do have is this jet mode that you see before you, monkey mode, or gorilla mode, I should say, and a robot mode. The original Optimal Optimus also had a vehicle heavy wheeled tank thing mode, but this toy is not able to accommodate that. So let's just start by taking a look at the jet mode, and that accessory over there is going to hang out there until we get to robot mode probably, or beast mode maybe. Anyway, this is Optimal Optimus's jet mode. Very loose definition. You've got, and that's almost untransforming. You've got giant monkey robot arms sticking out there with wings attached to the sides. You got a cockpit, which is something. And you got giant legs sticking out the back there with tiny wings on the side, no proper thrusters, and what you will be able to tell is the component Optimus Primal, the smaller deluxe-ish sized figure in the Evolution Leader gimmick, just hanging out on the back there. Though, for as goofy as it is, it still does look very nice with the nice black going on throughout of it, the lighter gray bits on the hands and the cockpit, some bits of red to pick things out, some very tiny Maximal symbols on the shoulder, what will be shoulders there, white thighs hanging out, grayer bits there, red bits that are gonna with some silver stickers on the knees there, and like I said, giant monkey feet sticking out of the back, and also the combined form Primal head, just kind of barely hiding there. You do have these two guns, which are weapon accessories. Very nice, black, silver, and a Maximal sticker on the side. Sorry, that was being held way too high up. Still getting used to this new setup. But those both do detach and have various weapon placements. There are 5mm ports there and there. And technically there and there, as those are 5mm holes for the hands. But we'll worry about that when we get to other forms. And as for Prime Master interactivity, there are these 5mm ports on the front here, one right there, for Prime Masters to stand on. Unfortunately, there are no other places for them to store. And as for other accessories, you can open this cockpit here and pull out the Matrix of Leadership. I think it's just the Matrix of Leadership on this version. I'm not positive, but it comes with a white border, a red painted core, and a light blue translucent plastic inner core, which is quite nice, and you can see through it. We have this nice lighting setup, which is very, very cool, I must say. While that does look like a place a Prime Master could sit, unfortunately the cockpit, well, I want to try something. Let's see if I stick his legs through, if I can get the cockpit to close. Nope. Even sticking the legs through, the cockpit's going to hit his head, and unfortunately no Time Master or Prime Master can ride inside Optimal Optimus in jet mode. That's a bummer. Where did I put the Matrix? There's the Matrix. But yeah, that's the Matrix, and that's pretty much where it goes. It just goes in that cockpit chest right there, just like it did in the cartoon, pretty much. Whoops. That bit doesn't... Oh, no. I have just started to do the transformation, and I was not ready for the transformation because I need size comparisons. So I'll get them back together, and we can start doing some vehicle mode size comparisons. Here he is next to Legends class Bumblebee, Deluxe class Chrome Dome, Voyager class Megatron, and Leader class Six Shot. And before we get into robot mode, gorilla mode I should say, I do want to mention there's no landing gear on this thing ever, and this is supposed to stick up lower than that, so he's always going to be sitting at an angle. There's no way to get him to properly land or pose correctly, but that's how it's supposed to be. So to transform into gorilla mode, let's do that first. So after recording this review, I decided to make a change to how my reviews would be done. I would record the main figure by itself and then do the transformation separately if the figure is too complex. As the Throne of the Primes here is in fact very complex and the review is already 45 minutes long, I decided to excise the transformation entirely from this review and just save it all for the transformation video, which is going up at the same time as this video. You can view the transformation, finding links for it at the end card at the end of the video or in the description down below. But right now, here is Optimus Primal in his gorilla mode. They can be combined in vehicle mode, in the gorilla mode, which is good. Certainly not great, unfortunately, as there's a whole nother robot hanging off the back of this. That definitely gets in the way of articulation. I will say this one thing, I will say that later, but the tabs do lock the waist in place. If you want to do those tabs, which I'll show off, you get waist rotation, but you do not have it if they are tabbed in like so. But taking a closer look at Primal in his gorilla mode, you got a very nice gray face with black helmet surrounding it and some very beady eyes, very deep set into that face right there. Unfortunately, it's a little hard to see because just so much shadow comes with how deep set those are, but they are definitely there. I promise. Very, very tiny. You got nice gray pectorals for his gorilla chest. A lot of black, a lot of gray going on, like I said before. Oh, the same nice textured perforated metal shape painted in silver, just like on Titan's Return Soundwave and Power of the Primes or Optimus Prime. That feels so nice. It's right there and there. I did not notice that until I was reviewing it just now. That's great to find out. That's so nice. And then you got Primal's crotch right here. Gray, mostly black. You got the red kneecaps I was talking to you about before. Black lower legs, gray toes, and black feet and black heels. And the arms there's a couple of stickers. I did forget to mention over there and down there. Some stickers on the side back here. Those are more prominent in other modes, I will say. And then the wings that are kind of just hanging out there. And then, like I said, the entire backpack is hanging out right there. Certainly works. Definitely not perfect, mainly because of the backpack. But there will be a configuration I will show off in a moment that does mitigate the backpack and still makes another reference to Optimus Primal. But before getting into that, we'll go into articulation here. His head can rotate only that far and that far because of stuff getting in the way. Arms can rotate a full 360 degrees. There is this secondary hinge that allows the arms to bend out at that angle. I think that's more so for robot mode rather than gorilla mode. They're supposed to be covered up like that. But that hinge exists. With this being completely closed, you get that much outward and inward movement. But moving this out of the way allows for substantially more outward arm movement as well. No butterfly hinge. No butterfly hinge in either configuration. I thought there was for some reason. 360 degree rotation at the elbow. Slightly greater, slightly greater 90 degree bend than 90 degree bend at the elbow there. Fists can rotate a full 360 degrees. Thumb is individually articulated, though it bends at a really weird point because of what is needed for transformation. So it just flips sides. And then the hand is articulated, but only at this first hinge right here. Everything else is one solid piece. So at most, Primal can have his furthermost fingers curled in, which I cannot do. You can only... That's not natural, Primal. You're not supposed to keep your fingers bent at 90 degrees that hinge bent 90 degrees at all the time. What's wrong with you? And like I said, no waist rotation if you have this back section tabbed in. If you untab it, you can get yourself a This is going to fall off probably, but a full 360 degree waist rotation. And we'll just step it back in for... Nope, it wants to... Come on, Don, come on. This is your time to shine on my channel, man. So then we're getting to the legs. Legs can bend only that far forward because of the kneecap pads getting in the way, and if this is tabbed in, you can only go that far. There's such limited forward and back on the legs, but if you undo that, you can get the legs to go much further back. No, if you undo the joint, you can get a large knee bend, but that's really not supposed to do that. And then the feet bend that far forward and that far back, as well as you get a very nice ankle tilt right there. That gives for some wide posing options. But that is about it. And actually, since the girl, I'm not going to talk about it. I was going to talk about the Scepter of Sparks, but we'll talk about that once we get to robot mode. So I'll still leave that off to the side. And before I move on any further, let us get into some robot mode size comparisons. There's Optimal Optimus in his Gorilla mode next to Bumblebee and Chrome Dome, and next to Voyager class Megatron and Leader class Six Shot, as well as the channel's mascots Soundwave and Wheeljack. And before getting to robot mode, we have an alternate Gorilla configuration we can do, which will mitigate the backpack in large part. And there you've got surfboarding Monkey Prime. And it stands pretty well to a point that, like, well, not perfectly, but like it looks like he's kind of like surfing in his pose, just because of how, unfortunately, this is not a smooth bottom, but like there's enough surface space that you can get it to stand with it without it falling over, and allowing to do cool surfing poses, but not having the surfboard be perfectly flat on the ground. He's not, I mean, if you push him, obviously he's gonna fall over, but you got him balanced right, and he's not gonna fall. Not too much more to this mode. The main thing it does is eliminates the massive backpack, though, opening up a huge gap right here, and referencing the transmetal body that Optimus Primal had in the second season of the cartoon with his surfboard form, which is very, very neat. And you just can pretend he's hovering there. With the range of articulation, you can get the legs to move, you can rotate the body, you can get him into some pretty neat surfing poses, I'd say so myself. The articulation allow him to grab the top of the surfboard without me pulling the surfboard apart is the question. Not quite. He cannot unfortunately grab the surfboard like he's rocking a skateboard or something. But like, yeah, this is a pretty cool reference, and at least in this form that's a bit nicer than the backpack, so this is certainly an optional form you can choose for this. The Gorilla mode. And quickly, before we get into the combined form, taking a look at Primal and his individual robot mode. Here's a surfboarding Prime next to Legends class Bumblebee and Deluxe class Chrome Dome, Voyager class Megatron and Leader class Six Shot, and the channel's mascots Soundwave and Wheeljack. But yeah, there's Primal in his robot mode. Looks very nice, looks quite close to the Beast Wars show model, though definitely more blocky to accommodate his blocky alt mode. For sure. But that head sculpt, let's start talking about that. The head sculpt looks very nice metallic blue, very nice metallic silver, nice red eyes in there. Love that head. Though it does look a little disjointed from the rest of the body because those colors don't appear elsewhere on the body, unfortunately. That's the only unfortunate thing about the head. It does not mesh with the rest of the body because every other silver bit is just gray plastic paint. Speaking of, like, the chest, which is gray right there with some nice red details. The shoulder pads are black with one large Maximal sticker on there. Whitish, grayish, kind of upper arms, black lower arms with gray painted fists. crotch is gray with a little bit of blue. That's the closest color matching going on this body. White thighs with black panels on the side. Red kneecaps. Well, they're supposed to be kneecaps, which is how the transformation works. They're not actually his knees. Well, they are where his knees are, but they don't attach to the lower part like they should, and that was off camera. Whoops. So all of those colors there. Black lower legs with a little bit of red paint. White paint for the toes. A little bit of black in the back. And the backpack. The backpack is a problem in all of the modes that has a backpack. Where robot mode or robotish mode, as in the case of Gorilla, exists, the backpack is a problem. But in this form, he is able to hold the two blasters. You can have him hold them as standard guns if you so choose, but for this configuration, they're supposed to be held butt end in the fists, as they are supposed to mimic his swords that his first body had. I mean, you can get away with it if they were clubs, but they are definitely not swords. But they tried. They certainly tried. It's a valiant attempt, but maybe I'll see if there's a third-party kit that gives him swords or something. I don't know. Anyway, as for articulation, his head can rotate a full 360 degrees, and that's all the head can do. The arms are able to go that far out and that far in. Shoulder pads are able to go that far out and that far in. Ball joint at the elbow allows for a 360 degree rotation and 90 degree bend. Nothing at the fists there, unfortunately. Nothing at the waist as well, and that's not due to things preventing him. This is just one solid molded piece, so no movement there. There's a little bit of back and forth rotation at the thigh there because of the ball joint. Allows for that far spread out. It's able to go that bent. The leg is able to bend that far forward, only that far back due to the Kibblicious backpack. Knees. This is the main knee bend there. That goes to a bit more than 90 degrees, but you can utilize this other hinge to give him a full 180 degree knee bend. But you get quite a nice range on that first hinge anyway, so you may not even need. Oh, that is about 90 degrees. Just depends upon how this hinge is positioned. But you get great range on the knees there, but unfortunately no articulation at the feet. And that's it for Primal. So now let's get into some robot mode size comparisons for Primal. Here he is next to Legends Class B and Deluxe Class Chrome Dome, Voyager Class Megatron, and Leader Class 6-Shot, the channel's mascots Soundwave and Wheeljack, and the other two core robots of the evolution leaders of Power of the Primes, Orion Pax and Rodimus Prime. Hot Rod. Well, the two unique molds anyway. And now let's get to Optimal Optimus's robot mode. So, Optimal Optimus in this form looks very nice. Definitely, like I said, different color scheme than what the color scheme Optimal Optimus is supposed to have, but there is a regular retail leader coming, kind of out, sort of, that has the correct colors, if that is a thing that annoys you, but again, affects you, But this looks like the G1 form in the full colors. That technically makes this a black repaint, I guess, which is interesting. And as you can see, he's got a very nice head sculpt. Again, a bit more detailed than the deluxe one, the smaller Primal head, but very nice nonetheless. A few different details just because of that's how the head was. These ear fins are a bit different. The crest is a bit different, but you got the same nice blue and silver paint on it. That also kind of a little more sticks out from everything else, as everything else is in black, gray, or red. The cockpit ends up on the chest right there. You got pretty much the same details you saw before. You got also that the faux perforated material stuff on there, which feels very nice. Very nice white thighs, red knees, the toes from the monkey mode, the hands, kibble on top, and the backpack. Of course, you gotta have the huge backpack, and then the wings hiding in the back there. That are not relatively minor compared to that going on. But this is definitely the cleanest the modes get with the backpack. But still, it's a backpack nonetheless. As for articulation, his head can rotate a full 360 degrees. Arms can rotate a full 360 degrees. They're technically supposed to be out there, but I do admittedly like them a little more inner, but with a little bit of that showing. Getting that far range. Well, if we extend that all the way, that much range on the body, on the arms, I mean. Again, elbows have the same rotation, 360 degree rotation, greater than 90 degrees of bend, hands 360, fingers in and out, thumb bends weird, 360 degrees. Rotation at the waist, not at all impeded by the backpack. Legs can bend that far forward, that far back with the backpack in the way, that far out to the side, which is so far, so much of a spread there. There's a thigh rotation right there. Knees can go slightly greater than 90 degrees. The feet bend that far back and that far forward. And you get a deep ankle tilt like before. So now to talk accessory interaction. We'll start with the accessories we saw before. He can hold them in his hands, which have 5mm posts at the thumbs, which you can see right through, like so. If they'll go in. Come on. Come on, Boss Bat. I know you can do it. There we go. And you can double up the guns to make him hold a singular long gun. But because it's at the thumb rather than the fist, that definitely looks a tad weird for sure. You have gun storage on the sides right here, 5mm posts on the sides. Perfect storage point for that in this or any of the other modes, really. You can also stick them up top here, like you're able to do for vehicle mode, which is nice and all, but to be accurate to the G1 Beast Wars toy, I talk about Beast Wars so little that I'm used to saying G1 toy when talking about the original. You can fold the cockpit chest down like so, exposing those 5mm ports and plugging them in like so, as was the case with his original toy. And that arm is out to the side, but whatever. That's he's got his chest guns going on there. Bam, bam, bam. I'll just take those off for the time being and leave them off to the side. Put the chest back to where it's supposed to go, if it'll cooperate. There we go. As for other accessories, the accessory I've been mainly talking about that shall be brought up now is the Scepter of Sparks, which is a brand new accessory included with the kit, referencing the maces that he had for his transmetal body, which is where the surfboard came from, that can hold 4 Prime Masters in its thing, in its staff. And I'll show them off with this. This also works with Time Masters, of course. You got the the tiny posts for the bottom of the feet right there, and the heads slot into this spot up here. It's a little, you gotta do a little, not necessarily gymnastics, but you gotta like get them bending correctly for them to fit like so. And this is how the Prime Master was brought into it. And he can hold, I'll just do 2 to show how it works with angles. If Prima's head can go in, please. I'll just show the 2 off like there. And Primal can hold it using these little like nubs at those rims right there. I'll fit that into the notches at like this part of the hand There are notches that'll fit. Why is Primal, why are you falling? Why do you want to fall? This is not what you want to do. You close the hand up around that, and he can wield his Scepter of Sparks with however many primes or Time Masters he's got situated in there. There is also a 5mm post that allows him, anyone with a 5mm post in their hand, to hold it, but again, that looks weird. So definitely, if Primal's holding it, you want to hold it by the special way Primal can hold it. And quickly removing the 13th and Prima. There we go. If you don't want Prime sticking in there and don't want this awkward gap, you can slide this bit up, have that tab right in there, and that looks really nice, I must say. It's a shame that doesn't come with two, so Primal can dual wield like his Transmetal toy did, but you know what? That looks mighty nice. And the last thing of note is his crown. This is the last accessory. Crown goes on top of his head. Boom, looks really nice. Let me take that off of his head just to show it off a little bit better. You got some nice, it's all very nice gold, very nice detail. You got a Maximal symbol right there with little greens, reds, and blues and pinks detailed on the front. If you're wondering why I didn't show this off with the smaller Primal, because pictures online have come up saying you can take this front piece off and you can stick it onto the smaller Optimus Primal head. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for me. This is not supposed to be able to detach. It's supposed to be glued on in place, just made in different parts. And I can tell you this because the back part of my crown, which is not supposed to detach, is capable of detaching. The front half, the front portion, I've tried moving it, but it feels like I'd break it before I'd get the crown off. So I unfortunately cannot show you that. If your copy, if you get one, does have that technically quality control issue. Technically. But yeah, it's supposedly if this gets off, this front bit gets off with the Maximal symbol, you can get it to fit on the smaller Prime's head. But I shall just leave it on the big Prime's head for the time being. And now for a final size comparison. Here he is next to Legends Class Bumblebee and Deluxe Class Chrome Dome, Voyager Class Megatron and Leader Class Six Shot, the channel's mascots Soundwave and Wheeljack, and the other two molds of this series, Leader Class Optimus Prime and Leader Class Rodimus Prime. And that is the throne of the Primes. A very, very nice set. Optimus, the Optimal Optimus mold, is a very nice mold to have to hold. It is able to do a lot of very nice things in reference, though how it gets to be able to do those are not necessarily great just because of what Optimus Primal has to do to make the backpack and the surfboard and the whatnot. It'd be nice if he had a gorilla form. He had a gorilla form like he should, but I understand why they didn't necessarily do that, but that would have been nice. The main Optimal Optimus figure is nice. Wish they kind of did a couple different things differently, but you know what? For what it is, it's still very much nice and very worth it. For everything else that is included with the set, the mace is a very nice touch and a very nice way to incorporate the 4 Prime Masters that were missing from the main retail line, which honestly with how it's released, honestly makes me think that it wasn't supposed, those Time Masters weren't supposed to be released like that, but the line got cut or something, and this is how they end up getting released. It's really unfortunate that to complete your primes you have to get a convention exclusive to do that, but at least it is coming to regular retail in Japan, so it's not as hard to get as certain exclusives. The cardboard throne and backdrop are very nice. The halo of the Primes, or halo of Primus, in the back, halo of Primes, I'm pretty sure it is. In the back is a very nice place to hold it. I kind of wish you could detach it and just take like a photo of like the Primes in it by itself, but unfortunately you can't do that. A lot of the set is a little bit of like, oh, there's a couple of minor things I wish they did to make that a bit better, but you know what, it's great. It's still a nice set. It's a fun set. There's a lot of nice things that go along with it. The crown's a very nice touch. Again, if you want your primes, you have to get this. If you're not into getting all of the primes, I still recommend picking up the set if it is convenient for you, because this is a $70 set. Yeah, overall, I really enjoy this thing and all of the things that include with it. But that is all I have to say for the Throne of the Primes. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like and share this video and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SoundJack426. Also, please consider donating on my Patreon page to help support the channel. All of the links will be in the description below. Thanks for tuning in. This is SoundJack signing off.